Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? My name is Ken Smith. I'm from the city of Vader. It's my privilege to welcome all of you in attendance this evening, especially our elected officials, our city council members. We would officially call this regularly scheduled city council meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. on this September 28th, 2017. We'll invite our city clerk to conduct our roll call.
Okay. Andy Wilson.
Present.
Jason Daly.
Here.
Joe Shy.
Here.
Mike Parsons.
Here.
Leona Sander Hunter. Present. And Mayor Smith.
Also present. So with a full quorum, let's proceed with our Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like Mr. Parsons to please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so with that, we'll proceed with our agenda. The first item will be the mayor's report. And startlingly enough, I think this may be the first time I don't have anything official to report. So,
Are you sure?
I think so. So with that, let's proceed with any reports from members of the council. Okay.
Well, last weekend we did a nice cleanup in Vader. A group of us got together and it went very, very well. I was very pleased with the turnout. Many came, many hauled a lot of garbage out. I think everyone we helped was very pleased and it went very well. And I would love to have more people come and say, I could use some help. Would you please come to my house next time? And if anybody has any help they need or if anybody wants to offer help, if they go to the community center, Judy is going to start a list for that, and we are more than happy to help any who need the help. Hauling off garbage or whatever we can do.
Do-gooders.
The do-gooders, yeah. No, we're the get-her-doners.
Oh, the get-her-doners, that's what it is.
The get-her-doners. But
Excellent.
anyway, I was very pleased. I thought it went very well.
Oh, excellent report.
I would like to say thank you for the citizens that done this voluntary service. It helped the city quite a bit, pick up a few odd parts of the town. And I wasn't able to go out and help them, but I did drive around town checking on them.
Making sure they get it done. That's good. Okay, with that, any other reports? Hearing none, let's proceed with the approval of this evening's agenda.
On this, I'd like to add that we add number 3. I talked to Jill about adding the stormwater situation update, since we have information about that.
Yeah, continuation of that
Yeah.
topic. Okay. So we've heard a motion submitted to add agenda item number 3, continued discussion of the smoke test for rainwater system. We have a second for that motion. Seconded by Leona. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. Okay. Now we'll proceed with the approval of the minutes from
Okay,
our
I'm sorry, Mayor. The only thing you approved in that motion was to add an item to it.
item 3.
Yes. Did you approve the agenda?
Not yet.
Oh, thank you for good catch. No. So let's go back now with that motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the city council meeting agenda for September 28, 2017 with the addition of number 3, the stormwater smoke test discussion.
Okay. All right. With that official motion, which you just heard, to approve the agenda with the addition of item number 3, smoke testing. We have a second.
I'll second again.
I think the two is very similar. Yes. Okay. Then we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That is carried. Now, the minutes approval for our September 14th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the City Council meeting on 9/14/2017 as written.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Daly has submitted a motion to approve those minutes as written. Do we have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, for voucher approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers. 1st of September 2017, $30,041.19. End of September 2017, $3,111.94. For a total for September 2017 of $33,153.13.
Okay, very good. Heard the motion submitted by Mr. Scheid to approve those vouchers as read. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Parsons. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion is carried. Special reports. We have no special reports on the agenda, so we'll proceed with public comment.
Please.
I like Shereen.
We have 5 people signed up. First on the list is Cindy Radcliffe.
Okay.
Cindy Radcliffe, 10 27th Street. At the last city council meeting, Doug Williams brought up an issue about the church's project, their paving project, and I think he met with the mayor a couple days later, and Doug recorded that meeting. And during that meeting, the mayor said that he didn't have any information about that project, and he didn't have any documentation or anything to tell Doug about it. The problem with that is that can't possibly be true. We have a private citizen, a private group digging up infrastructure of our city, digging up a storm drain, putting in a new storm drain, digging up a city street, and yet there's no oversight by the city. That doesn't make any sense. There was no permits. Apparently there was no reports from a city engineer, no study, no documentation, no plot plan. I put in a Freedom of Information request on any of those documents. The city's response was they had no records whatsoever on that project. That just doesn't make any sense. It just can't possibly be. If someone's digging out a storm drain and they're going to put a new storm drain back in, you got to have somebody look at it. You got to make sure it's the right pipe. And I don't know what kind of pipe it would be. The right slope, the right gravel, the right backfill, the right depth. I mean, I'm sure there's a myriad of things that need to be looked at, and yet there was no city oversight on that project. And nothing against the church. I like the church. I like Pastor Tracy. He's a nice man. There's nothing against him personally. But when you have somebody digging up city infrastructure, you need to have oversight on that. If nothing else, the overweight trucks that were hauling in gravel and hauling in asphalt should have had permits on them, because a city or truck of that nature should be anywhere from 50 to 60,000 pounds. And I got that from Lakeside Industries, by the way, those numbers. And none of that happened. So I would like the city council to look into that and to find out what happened there. And if you go down to 6th Street, you'll notice that they are encroaching about 10 feet into 6th Street. 6th Street happens to be an extremely wide street. I think it's 80 feet. And they're about 10 feet over. And now the church is considering fencing the parking lot. Well, they're going to be well into the city right away if they do that, because they're already using quite a bit of it. The second thing I have here is I wanted to give the city council a copy of our notice of violation. It has been revoked. And I'm giving you a copy of that because on numerous occasions, the city attorney has said that there's no reason for the city council to be involved. They don't want to get the city council involved. Well, you need to be involved. You need to know if there's a legal issue going on with the city. You need to see these letters of revocation. You need to see the letters of notification. You need to know if there's attorneys involved, because you guys have to find the money to pay for it. So on issues of that nature, you absolutely should be involved. It's encouraging to see on
Members of the council, the 3
agenda.
minutes are up.
I just want to thank you for putting that on the agenda.
Want to extend her free? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson.
I've heard
3
this
minutes,
through
sir.
Okay.
the community. They have approached me about that. Here we have a notice of violation order from the city's attorney and to Mrs. Radcliffe's attorney, result of a lawsuit against the city. And this puts the city and the city council into a malfeasance, misfeasance of office. We're all responsible for what known as, why wasn't this given to the city a long time ago, something like this, period.
I think you're confused, Mr. Wilson.
Well, I'm not
But,
confused at all about it. I'm worried about it because all the city council members could be sued too for malfeasance of office.
Very good. Well, we're in the public comment phase of our city council meeting. That letter is simply indicating that the matter has been resolved. So,
It's been resolved.
yes. So I think they're a little confused about it, but I'd be more than happy to talk to you after the meeting about it. So, okay, well, let's proceed with our public comment.
Okay, next is Linda Newton.
Linda Newton, 1024 B Street, Vader. I called City Hall today and tried to get on the agenda so I could speak with the council members, because I want to speak with the council members. There's a very large pile of gravel down at the end of A Street left over from another project. It's not costing the city of Vader any money. I live on B Street. I've been there 10 years. The city has done zero, and I'm saying zero, to maintain that street. It's 2 ruts coming up to my house. I have to use 4-wheel drive to get out of my driveway to get into the street to leave the city every winter. I have a neighbor who bought the lot next to me, and there is a tractor with a dump bucket available at no cost to the city. It says if the city will give us permission to have that gravel, he would take it and put it on B Street at no cost to the city. And so that's why I come to the council. I wanted to talk to the council about it. I was told I couldn't be put on the agenda. So I'd like a reasonable answer in a pretty reasonable period of time, if that's feasible. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Okay, next is Judy Costello.
Oh, yay. Judy Costello, 709 A Street. With 12 people, 7 trucks, 3 trailers, and 2 hours on Friday and Saturday, over 3,000 pounds of garbage left Vader. Leona, this is just a follow-up to Leona's report. The country cruisers, a group of friends, neighbors, the Get Her Done committee all met. We cleaned up 5 different properties that day. And then we ended up with a truck and a partial trailer of grass that we had to get rid of. All in all, it was a perfect day. The 2 days went really, really well. We did it without any problems. We used the free vouchers. So if anybody didn't use your voucher, you still have 2 more days left. Lewis County has the 1,000 pounds for free. You just go on the website and get it. Next year, it starts in May and ends in September. We have so many people that don't use theirs. I acquired 7,000 pounds of free vouchers to be used that we obviously didn't need this time around. So next year, that would be a great plan, would be to get people. Andy doesn't use his, Jason may not use his, whatever. So there were a lot of people that we could have used their vouchers this year and done a bigger cleanup. To my next little comment, school update, I spoke with Mr. Mabbitt yesterday, and he said they still have not found the line. They are in communications with Gibbs and Olson via a print that Andy had that he shared with him, and that there's more to come. He's hoping to find it soon. The next thing is The voters' ballot and drop box is being poured as we speak over by the city shop in the event anybody hasn't noticed it. That started, I think, Tuesday. I talked to those guys when they were over there pouring. And that will be so you can drive up to it to drop your ballot off. And the third thing is Sunday, the street people came and finished the crosswalk on 506. So now the crosswalk little things and the railroad track things are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Doug Williams.
Douglas Williams, 629 G Street, 626. I have a question for the council. Is the city a growth or no growth city? No, you don't have to answer this, but do
Did you say gross or no gross?
growth
Oh, growth.
or
Okay.
no growth? If you think this is a no-growth city, you not need to consider any of the following comments. If your answer is that growth is to grow the city, you should consider some of the following. The wastewater plant of 914 seems slightly flawed. They project a 42% connections to the city by 2035. They also recommend a 61% increase in the connection fees. By making the connection fees more costly, how are you going to attract the needed additional customer base? I don't know what school of business the presenter attended, but when a business is not doing well, they hold a sale. One of the things the city has to sell is utilities. By reducing the connection fees to $1,000, for example, the city would put the connection fees on sale. The loss would be offset by bringing in new sewer fees on a monthly basis, plus additional property taxes. The loss would be recouped in a few short years. The city as it stands now has no equipment or personnel expenses involved in the connection, except for some administrative fees. Make Vader attractive to future residents as an affordable place to live.
Excellent. Thankful. Excellent. Okay.
The fifth person asked to be removed, so that's it. That's all our public.
Alrighty. Excellent. I appreciate that input. Let's proceed now with our official city business. Item number 1, council to consider resolution 16-2017, the jail contract services, 2018 through 2019.
I tried to read it over and I didn't get through with all of it. But I think that we should take and put this aside and so we can all get in there and actually look at this contract. Because there's a lot of things I don't like, a lot of things I don't see how we're going to be able to afford. So I would like to take and set it aside to come back to another council meeting or workshop.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Any other council member comment?
I think a workshop on it might be beneficial. 'Cause I'm a little confused by all of it myself, and I know that they got it and spoke and everything, but I'm still a little confused on it. I do have a question. The people that are actually spend jail time, do they have to repay the city for those costs, or is the city responsible for that?
Ultimately, the city is responsible. The judge can choose to impose fines on them that could pay for some of that. I have no idea how, when, if that ever happens.
From what I understand from the discussion that we had with from the sheriff's office is that we have a set fee, and anything that's over and above that, they
would cover.
absorb.
Yeah, they're actually, it's a positive
Yeah,
for the city of Vader.
Just to clarify a little bit, this is not the same This is not regarding what they came and spoke to us about.
Oh,
This is just the jail contract with the jail itself. This is the exact same contract we've signed for probably 10 years in a row at least. Since I've been here, it's the exact same contract. The only thing that has changed is what the bed days cost is. And so when I send it every time we have a contract, I send it to the attorney for review and I have to send it to the insurance company for review. And both of them said the same thing. This is the exact same contract you send me every time. Why are you sending it? I'm like, because I'm supposed to send it. But it's the exact same contract. So, and this is the same contract they send to every city and that every city has to sign if they're going to be in the jail. I don't know that there's much discussion to be had about the wording of it because we either accept their jail services or we find somebody else's jail services to use. So this is kind of one of those things where what we really have to decide is, are we going to pay the daily bed rate or are we going to pay the, what do they call it, the quarterly flat rate, which gives those are the two choices we have.
That's the same choices that we had last
Yeah,
year.
they're the same choices that we have every year because it's the exact same contract. It's just a
Do
matter
we know
of
if
how
we-
much. The bed days, if you look on the very, very last page, 13, it shows you at the bottom that the average bed day used over the last 3 years is 50.51 for the year. And if you look there, it's because in 14 we had 82.5 bed days, in 15 we had 40 bed days, and in 16 we had 29 bed days. So you see, last year we chose to do the daily rate because the daily rate, even though it's a little bit higher rate per day, we end up not overpaying by paying for 50 bed days when we only needed 29. So that would be my recommendation is to take the daily bed rate because our bed rates are going down every year, and to pay $50 just so we can get a flat rate, it doesn't save us any money. We actually end up paying more. Of course, we never know for sure. There could be some big thing that happens and somebody ends up spending a whole lot of time in there. We never know. But typically our bed rate days have been going down every year for the last several years. So really, I mean, if you guys want us to have a workshop on it, that's fine. We can do that. I don't know that the county's going to make any concessions on this. This is their standard contract that every city basically has to sign. You just have to decide how you're going to pay for it, the flat rate or the daily rate. So
Okay. We do have a member of the public who'd like to make a
Go
comment.
ahead.
Regardless if this is the same one for the last 10 years or 20 years, I feel more comfortable if our council people actually understood the contract and knew what was in it. So it might be the same one, it might be just a little bit higher, but I'd really like you to understand what you're approving. So I'm glad that you're asking for a workshop.
Well, I'm new, so it's not familiar to me.
Yeah. And, we could probably invite a member of the county official to come and provide clarity at that workshop as well, if you wanted to. You have time, so I'd like to set a date.
Readdressed.
you want to come in
Or-
like 30 minutes early or something on a meeting day, or?
Well,
Would that work?
Council's decision.
Works fine for me. If people want to wait so they can read it more, that's fine. I've read it 3 times already,
Yes,
every year.
pretty pro forma. But it's council's decision. Set a motion in place, see how it responds.
We need a motion for a workshop.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a workshop on Resolution 16, 2017 for the jail contract services.
Okay. Heard a motion submitted by Leona to set a workshop to discuss the contract.
I second.
Do we want to put a date in there?
We could discuss that after it gets a second.
Okay.
And we have a second?
Yeah.
So we got a second for it. So now deliberate on a date. if you'd like.
October 26th.
Randomly a day? What day is that of the week?
That's the Thursday. That's our second meeting next month.
I'll even bring the cookies.
What kind of time frame we have on getting
I
this
just want to
done?
make sure we don't already have a budget workshop. I didn't bring my budget calendar with me.
Hold on here, budget
You have
workshop
your budget.
on October.
26th.
26th?
There's a workshop
There's a
on that
workshop.
day.
Okay, well, we can include it as part of that budget workshop if
Absolutely.
you wanted.
Okay,
Since it's already scheduled, then,
and the budget workshop starts at 5, so
yeah.
yeah, on the 26th of next month.
Next month.
Yep.
Yep,
So we already have a workshop scheduled.
that's good. Okay, so, so the date tentatively selected would be October 26th as part of the previously scheduled budget workshop. So with that, added to the amendment, any other comments? All right, those all in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Motion is carried. Excellent. So, with that, next item would be the council discussion of the code enforcement efforts of the City of Vader. This item was placed on the agenda based on feedback, input that has been received by the council from members of the public. Thought it might be appropriate to conduct a council discussion, if you'd like, on that topic. So,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we need to discuss. I know Mike's got a lot of issues that he wants to, but the fees, I know that we've all been talking about the fees and things like that.
On the code enforcement? You know, we've had a total of $500 in fees that we've gotten from citizens. We've paid for attorneys, but as far as actual penalties, it's $500 is all that we've collected
From one person.
from one person. Everything else has been attorney fees to take care of these things, paperwork, right? If we go, and had to go back and listen to public comments, and we don't have $500,000 worth of fees racking up on people. We don't have. We have 500,000. Can you show me where those are?
Jason, I'm sorry.
but yes,
I'm sorry.
got to make sure this doesn't come across the ears.
Okay.
I have to
Have we collected any of those fees, or are we using them for leverage so that people will actually do things? When you get pulled over and get a speeding ticket, you go to court, and sometimes the judge reduces it, sometimes he kicks it all the way off. But there is that threat of leverage so that you will respond and follow through with it. And if we're going to get rid of all of those and say, hey, please clean up your place, and if you don't, I'm not gonna give you a star this week. What the heck? This jail thing was phenomenal. Look how many our days in jail are going down because the city's getting better. It's not. Okay, never. Sorry, I can't do this.
That's why we don't have a
Pardon me.
Okay, so
Out of line. No, we didn't.
Not out of line.
You
Let me look
cover,
at
the
the
mayor
email.
is the moderator of his council meeting.
That's fine.
Excuse me, but
Moderator.
we will not invite public comment unless it's approved by the council. So, if you please proceed.
So I know that the streets are getting cleaned up, things are getting cleaned up. Thank you for that cleanup the other day. Things are happening and things are getting better. And so I don't see that there's that many things going on.
Ms. Wilson?
Well, I agree with what a lot of you said, period. But this is why I understand there's 4 lawsuits against the city right now
Whoop.
because of this
Not true.
going on. And attorney fees can be.
So there's 4 lawsuits, that's what you're saying?
I understand there's 4, just by word of town.
Word of town.
No.
Have you talked to the mayor or to the city?
They won't give me any information if I ask them.
Oh.
Okay. This is a council discussion. We've got to try to maintain the facts of it. The facts are that every document, God's public record, and simple conversation will give you that information.
But
So,
the
yeah.
main fee, I think the fees are an incentive, and I know that we can, once they're presented to us and the person cleans up their stuff, that we have the option to do what you said. We half it, nix it, whatever. But I guess the fee that I'm most worried about is the fee to contest what the city is saying that they've done wrong, and from what I understand, there is a contestment fee.
It's called an appeal fee.
An appeal fee.
Correct.
And there are some people, I mean, they're already at their limits or above, and for them to even contest it, it's a large fee for them to even say, no, it's not, or, so I think that's the one that really kind of throws me, because we know the people that we're approaching are at their limits already, and we're trying to make them do something, and for them to even come to us to approach us, it's fee. So that's one that bothers me the most. Everything else I know is kind of like we can work with all the numbers, but that one it's a fee. It's a flat fee.
It's a good point. We get some suggestions. This is a very amendable ordinance. But, the council spent, a year and a half, 2 years working on this. And it was motivated by individuals within the community, some of whom are seated here, who expressed concern about the quality of life in our community based on the issues that are contained in that ordinance. If there's an idea, obviously the council knows you can amend that, and if it makes sense, you're the legislative body, you could do it. And we do have a number of comments that are patient. Would the council care to address or hear comments?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's proceed with 2.
And I'm not going to pick anybody out. I will just say this to everyone. Last time I was here, I suggested a fine. The officer comes over after a couple visits. He writes you out a ticket. You go to court and you have to pay it. I mean, that's pretty big deal to me to have to go to court to do anything because my grass is too tall. So having said that, when you send me a letter, Mike, that says I'm going to be fined between $5,000 and $2,000 a day, that's being a bully. That's very intimidating to the general community that lives here. That, as Jason says, these people are all on fixed incomes, retired or whatever. They've lived here 3rd generation. Yes, it's great to clean up our community. We organized that cleanup in less than 2 days. It was an experiment that worked perfectly. I think there's a better way than sending these letters out to these people. I really, really do.
Well,
And it's okay. And that's my comment. And I'm not saying it defensively to anyone. I just believe there's a better way. And I was up there when this was all passed. And I'm anxious to get up there again. Because I do believe in my heart there is a better way to address this. These people in this community are angry. Jason hears it just about every day at work. I hear it on a regular basis. We all do. I mean, every councilman up there has probably heard this, has been approached to please figure this out. Because it's very, very damaging to our citizens to get these letters. That's my comment. Thank you.
Next.
My comments kind of go along with Judy. The fines and the permits are way beyond, they're absorbent for the community of Vader. They're just, we have a lot of senior citizens, we have a lot of people that are on fixed incomes, and all of these fees are just way over and above what anybody feels they can afford. And they're not going to come to, well, they can't get to the city council. Call the office, they get nowhere. So you guys don't hear this. I don't hear what's going on. And these letters that go out.
You know what? My phone number is on the website.
No, it's
And
not.
yeah, it
If
I
is.
looked for it. I did.
If I may prevent this cross-examination, it's counter to the council's actions. I understand you're here to watch the council, but and your comments are obviously welcome. But let's try to avoid this argumentative thing.
Again, you know, the fees are incentive. They're not meant to be, I mean, they're exorbitant, but they're an incentive. And once they do clean up and approach the city, we lessen the fees, do what we can to help the person out, but it's just incentive. That's the way it was meant to be. So.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I agree that they need to get a letter, there needs to be the incentive, but I think in a lot of cases, it's gone beyond incentive and really to bullying. Too much, it's just too much for some of these people. And that's what we're hoping to eliminate by getting community members that can help some of these people, aware of who needs the help, and go help these people that want the help, but just can't financially or physically do it themselves. That's what we're trying to resolve here this way, as opposed to the constant letters, the constant attorney fees, the constant battles. You know, they need the help. The community, there's lots of people in the community that are more than happy. I've had 2 people come up to me already, and you know, if I knew this was going on, I'd have been there Saturday to help you. They're thrilled to have the opportunity to help these citizens. So maybe instead of that 3rd, 4th letter that's now gone into bullying, a little note in there, you know, call the community center, get your name down for the help, and get this issue resolved, as opposed to another letter and another letter and another fine and more fines, so that they just are so scared to even step out their door.
Some of those letters, though, go to people that don't care. They go to people that won't accept them. So then we have to send another letter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way, if you send a letter and it doesn't get received, then you have to serve a letter or have it so that they sign for it, and they're avoiding it. And so you call it bullying, but it's also, I mean, we have to, if we want it to clean up, we have to get a hold of the people. We have to make them know that we're serious.
We have to make sure that we know that they get the letter.
And if it was bullying, there would be a lot more fees than fines collected than $500.
I agree 100% that not everybody's going to accept the help. But I also know that there are many that will, if they know it's available to them.
And I have no problem with that. But they have to come forward. We send the letter to them. They can't throw it away. They can't avoid it. They can't tell us to, piss off. They've got to take responsibility and come forward. If it is grass being up to here, mow it. If you can't mow it, call somebody and I'll go mow your lawn. I don't care, but something needs to get done. And by saying please, it just doesn't work.
But by saying there is help available, it might help.
Yes.
So
But we can't tell them that there's help available until they talk to us. But if they're avoiding us, we can't offer any help.
but
We
it can be
can't
added
figure
in the
out.
letter, you know.
We could add it in the letter. I don't have any problem with that.
There is help available. Just let City Hall know, let the community center know, let somebody know that you need this help.
Mm-hmm.
We can try getting the news out there that there is help available before they're bombarded, and then they feel so overwhelmed that they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, we have two more comments. Would the council care to hear more input?
Sure.
Okay here.
Mr. Wilson keeps raising his
Oh,
hand and keeps
okay.
getting
You
missed.
have
I don't know.
priority, so then we'll be patient.
well, I agree with a lot what you say. Public relations when I was mayor. Public relations was a lot better than threatening letters or fines. And I used to get an awful lot done in the city. Just by writing a nice public relation letter and not threatening them and not doing anything like that. I don't know how it's working today, but I didn't have no problem at all. I solved a lot of problems by being nice to them. That's why I'm very upset with this
If it was just
ordinance
like
that
that.
we have here,
the good old
2017-02.
days.
Well, Mr. Wilson, you do have the list of individuals who have received notices of violation. And you could work your way through to see who's responsive and who's not. And so I can't sit here and say that in a dream world it'd be ideal if you would have people who respond.
Well,
but the
I was
facts are
told that some of
we
these
don't.
people, there was trespassing on their property by Jill,
Yeah, well,
and that's illegal, period.
right. We need to be
Yeah,
careful
but-
about casting aspersions.
But you drive down my private road every day.
So,
You drive down my private road
but
every
before
day.
we turn it into
I do.
a
That's trespassing.
a debate, let's remember.
There we go.
This is not a court. This
I'm
is
thinking
not a
about
trial.
it.
Okay.
I am.
For those people that
Okay.
live down there will
If I could call this meeting to order, try to maintain this as we know this is a very emotional topic and is predictable. But we've got to maintain civility and decorum in this council meeting. So, and we've got to remember that this is not a kangaroo court in which you try the credibility of another elected official or a city employee. Okay. All right, with that, you still want to hear two comments? Go ahead.
Well, my only comment was to Mike Parsons, who said his number was on the website, which I have the city.
I just looked it up. It's the city one, 360.
Okay.
But it says, yeah, 3222.
Yes, I did not know. I just glanced. I thought it was my phone number. 360
I don't
921.
She wanted her phone number.
921
Should know
You're
before
sharing
we say
information.
anything.
8436.
Call me tonight too.
Perfect. I'm up.
Perfect. Okay.
If any of the city council members want your private home numbers on the website, let me know. I'd be happy to put them on there.
You can put mine on, Joe.
You know where to get
So,
it.
let's
We know where you work.
Okay, I'm sorry.
please,
Sorry.
Okay, here we go.
I agree with Leona that the very first thing that a lot of people get is a screaming letter that says you're gonna owe up $500 to $2,000 a day. Maybe if you send out a letter ahead of time that says, we understand that you know, we've looked at your property, you have some high grass, you need to take care of it, instead of immediately with a bat. We have a person on C Street that the first time he knew that there was a problem with the 2 vehicles in his backyard was that screaming letter, and he had no idea that he couldn't have those 2 vehicles in his backyard. Those were project cars to him. So, and right now, he's under that, I think he's up to $1,500 a day. So maybe, like Mr. Wilson said, is some customer service or some, a nice letter, please. And you're right, Mike, you know, part of the people aren't gonna say, bite you or whatever. But some people will respond to it, and especially if they know that there's help out there, that somebody will help them clean up their property. And $500 just to say, I don't agree with this, that's excessive. And the other point I wanted to make is everybody on that list that I talked to had no idea they could come to the city council and ask to have those fees waived. And one person has over $100,000 on his property, and he's ready to just walk away and give it to the city. Now, I don't think you guys want his place. It's not worth $125,000.
Yeah, that's not the intent of this whole thing, is to
Right.
get people's
Right, but
property.
he doesn't know he has to have those waived. So, that information's not out there. You know, they don't come to city council meetings, he didn't know that he could waive that, or you guys had the power to waive it. So right now, he's thinking, well, shoot, the property's not worth $124,000, so I'm gonna give up. And we don't want that either. So
Right.
maybe if there's a compromise, between the bullying and the bat, and something a little more gentle and to start out with, instead of a screaming letter, right off the bat. That's my
Very good. Okay. There's another comment. Council, at your meeting.
Always.
Okay, before-
I'd just like to say that there are a lot of seniors in town that aren't physically capable to keep their yards totally pristine. And I happen to be one of those. And I'm on a limited income, so I do what I can when I can. And I think when people get those letters, it's an ordinance. And there's nowhere in that ordinance that says, if you'll come in and do what we want you to do, we'll negotiate the fines on you. Otherwise, we'll just keep fining you till we take your property, because that's what it comes down to. Because the fine is so excessive when you're doing that much money per day per little item that you bought them for, like 4 or 5 little things on their property. Each one of those
Hey
is
Donna,
$500.
can you not, it's not her that's doing it.
Yeah.
And,
Jill's sending the letters, that's her job.
but that's her job, because we are telling her to send those letters.
I'll just look at
Look
you.
at me, I'll take
Talk to
it.
you.
Perfect, thank you.
But that's what people think. People are afraid. And I can't afford to have my yard done all the time. And I'm sure half of this town is like that too. We can't all get out there with a lawnmower and tree trimmers and everything else and do it all the time. My place looks ratty.
Okay. Very good. I think good point made. Now, Mr. Wilson has a comment.
One more thing to the council. I would like you to approve Mrs. Newton's gravel from the city to let ever who the gentleman is to gravel that piece of road down there. No big deal to
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
All right. But as you well know, that is a topic that is not encompassed within that agenda item, which is the code enforcement issue. If there is a citizen who has a request, they simply need to let us know. And you did let us
I
know.
called and asked to be put
Yes.
on this agenda and was told I could not be put on here.
And this is not, oh my gosh.
It's not about the
Okay,
agenda.
I
You can
think-
call the city and just say we
I
need
called the
gravel.
city and
Wait.
said, this is what.
This is inappropriate commentary. You were also informed that you have 24 hours notice in order to change the agenda. You heard that, I'm sure. So
No, I did not.
we can put it on the next agenda, but I am more than happy to talk to a resident about the use of the gravel, but as the council knows, but we aren't to engage in this discussion because we're talking about code enforcement. So Mr. Wilson, I appreciate that, but I hope you learned something. Yes. Goodness.
So back to the contesting fee, which
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can really think of to call it. I would like to do something about that, first of all, as soon as possible, because, I mean, if there are people that want to contest what's going on, they should be able to do that. I don't think it costs us very much money to send in a letter, and Jill's time, clerk's time,
Well,
attorney fees, $500.
What that appeal fee is supposed to cover is the cost of the appeal process, which is paying for the hearing examiner, which is an attorney that the city has a contract with, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but it's somewhere in the ballpark of $200 an hour. So he has to, when he receives when we receive an appeal letter, then we have to file that with the hearing examiner. And as soon as we file it with him, he starts racking up fees. He has to read through all the notice of violation information, all of our records, all of our documents that we send him. He has to read the appeal, and then he has to set up a public hearing. He has to come down here and hold a public hearing. So that's more time, money. You can see that the expense of that. It's expensive to do an appeal, which is why it's set at $500. Now, I'm not saying you need to keep it at $500. I'm just letting you know that that's what that money is for.
Was this an appeal thing?
That was not, well, there was an appeal filed, but there was not an appeal fee paid. And it didn't ever go through the appeal process because there was an agreement made. But I'm not sure that we're supposed to be discussing that in
Right,
this,
I just,
in this scenario. But the other person, there is another person who has appealed, and we're going through this process now. And so I'm just saying that's what that money is to cover, is the cost of going through the appeal process. So I'm not sure how council wants to pay for the appeal process if we don't require the person who's appealing to pay for it. So that's something to think about. And like I said, we haven't completed one yet, so we don't even know how much that's all going to cost to do it, because we haven't
but
ever.
they've got to be able to contest.
Yeah, the figure, the $500 figure was based on the professional people that we've hired, their experience in dealing with these with other cities and giving us an idea of what they thought would be reasonable. So, and it was never meant to be a diehard. We didn't know a lot of the stuff we haven't done before.
Right.
So we just had to use experienced people and go with our best guess. And if council wants to change that amount, that's up to council, but then you need to realize that the city is going to be paying for all of that. Even if the appeal even if the city wins the appeal, we still end up paying for it? Is that what you want to do?
No.
So there's,
so there's
more
than.
It,
but if they don't win,
sure.
then
How do you force them to pay
know.
it? You know, that's the
Maybe that-
problem.
maybe
that's
that-
why they're trying to get the money up
Here,
front
so.
to pay for the cost
So maybe-
before. So you can see where it's a problem. It's like, how do you fix that? I don't know what the answer
Maybe
is.
that's where the warning letter comes in.
Mhm.
If they get a warning letter that says, hey, your grass is too tall, or whatever,
Your tarp garage needs to come down, or
yeah, whatever it is, then if they don't do anything, then it falls into what the process that we already have. But by that first letter, that takes the bat away. That just says, hey, this is what we've had a complaint on. Because most of these, correct me if I'm wrong, most of these are from complaints.
consent-driven.
No.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, because when I was coming to city council before, everybody was complaining about this house or that house, and some of those houses are gone. So they were complaint driven. That's why we picked the list that we started on. But maybe the letter would be the thing to start off with. Give the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, this is what's going on. Please take care of this, address it, call City Hall, whatever. And then if we don't hear anything and it continues, then it falls back to, we just add one step to it.
Okay. There is a gentleman in the back whose arm is getting tired.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear?
Yes.
When I actually set foot on my property, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to volunteer down at City Hall to be on work detail. Because some of these people, I'm sure, they're a little bit older than me. I'm only 71. But they're set in their ways, and how dare you come on my property and want me to change something? And I know that there's folks here that's been here a lot longer than I've been alive, and you probably know who those folks are, and have to very delicately talk to them. Because you're infringing on, oh my goodness.
80 years of collection.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Is a workshop on the horizon for this topic? We have 2 more comments. Would you like to hear
I was
2
going to
more?
suggest a workshop. That was my
Oh.
comment, so.
Can we
Feeling
add
I was
that?
getting.
Can we add that to the same workshop? I know
It's only an hour.
Oh.
It is only an hour, but
Next week.
Then we can come in maybe a half hour earlier. I don't know. Just.
Well, you heard the comment
How
about the next
on
meeting.
the 11th?
I would prefer not on the 12th because I'm going to be back on the phone again
I see.
for my last time of the year.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Well,
Does it
it's
have
council's
to be-
decision. Did you want to hear from the other comment?
Sure.
Me? If you charge me $500 to appeal, because I don't have a lawnmower. I could have bought a lawnmower. See my point?
But you wouldn't ever use it because you never used it before.
Exactly.
Right? Sorry.
Yeah, here we go. No, just, here we go.
Just my thought, you know.
Right.
It's
Good point.
that, it's
Point
that.
well taken.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. Right. So, workshop. With the council, it's up to the council to decide, not the mayor.
What time is this one?
5.
4:30.
Isn't that kind of what we're doing right now?
Workshop kind of?
Yeah, but we're a long ways from any decision
A little
making.
ways, yeah.
Well,
But
how far are we from decision making? Because I like the idea of sending a letter prior to
Just change
any
that.
formal. And because this, to be quite honest with you, what we have right now is working great. People are mad, but when I get pulled over, I'm mad too.
okay,
But
I agree. It's just, it's a big change.
But if
for the
we
community
add-
because we've-
But if we just add the letter, that's like getting pulled over and just getting the warning. After that, I'm like, hey, all right, I'm going to slow down and I'm happy.
yeah.
And that would be an easy thing to fix and solve because we're not making money off of this. Most of the fees go to the attorney. And if people would just either admit that, yeah, my grass is too long, I'm sorry, let me mow it, it would just go away.
But I can tell you that there are probably one or two other elements of that ordinance that might want council consideration too, with regard to the code enforcement official, for example. I can tell you, occupying the mayor's position, overseeing the administration of the legislative actions of the council, I remember distinctly when it was decided who was going to be the code enforcement person. And the mayor didn't want to do it, anticipating the pushback, because this was an experiment. Most bigger cities who have higher trained personnel can engage in these things more successfully than our tiny little community. But the council was responding to the complaints that were running through the community. So when the mayor declined, then the council turned to the next option, which was the city clerk, and I would speculate that you'd not find another single tiny city like ours whose beleaguered city clerk becomes the point of the spear in the enforcement elements. Not to mention the inexperience of the city and the staff who's been authorized, empowered to enforce it. So I think that we need to rescue our city clerk, who I would add, as a matter of public record, is one of the finest employees this city has ever hired, and has done more good for this community than any other single human being I'm acquainted with. So, and I would defend and I would inform the council that our staff has been confronted by a number of very angry residents, in some cases inappropriately. But that's my additional point I would make. And I want to give that careful consideration too. So, yes. So my point is, I guess, rather than try and fix elements of this ordinance tonight, it might be wise to get continued input from the public and read it over carefully, and given the track record that we've experienced in the last 3 months of enforcement efforts, see if there isn't a way to make it more user-friendly, if friendly is a way that it could actually be applied. So I would suggest a workshop, maybe even if it's in October, when you're here, help.
In October, since you don't get back till after the 12th, I mean, there's the 19th. We already have a workshop on the 26th.
The 19th is scheduled for a planning committee meeting here at 6 o'clock, so you could do it before that if you wanted. Or, I don't know when it would be over, but.
Yeah, that's doable. So what was the date again?
On the 19th, that's the third Thursday. The third Thursday of every month is the planning committee's night
And
to
there's at
have.
6?
Theirs is at 6. It starts at 6, yeah. So you guys could do it earlier.
I'm free at 5.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Cool. So we've got a plan. All right. So we need a motion
Well,
for that.
you did a motion for the other
Yeah.
one. We should probably do
Yeah.
a motion for this one.
So with that, having been decided, does one of you want to submit a motion?
I'll submit a motion that we continue this conversation about code enforcement on October 19th in a workshop at 5 p.m.
Okay. Mr. Daly submitted a motion to conduct a city public workshop on this, or October 19th at October 19th at 5 p.m. Okay. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Parsons. Any additional deliberation? Okay, hearing none, let's put it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion
On-
is carried.
On the, when you were just giving kudos to Jill,
Yeah.
I heard a lot of negativeness in the audience. So I would like to donate a surveillance camera. And I will buy it. And we can put it in the office and we can see what actually is going on in here anytime we want. So everybody that comes through the window will see how they're treated. We'll be able to see how they're treated.
Yeah. I would be in favor. Okay.
Is that
Any council thought on that? Yeah, just so the council knows, I'd be impressed with the concept, the idea. I'd be very supportive of it. So you're volunteering.
I'll
Cover the
buy
cost of
a neat system.
A neat one. I'm good.
it. Okay.
What's that?
I said a neat one. All
A
right.
neat one. Yeah, it's neat.
Could it be a gift to the community?
It will be.
All right. Okay. All right. With that,
I'd like to say a couple facts real quick. So we're talking, no one really knows. We're talking about how many people, all these violations and letters, and all we hear is how much is going on. We have sent 17 notices total in 2 years to 13 different property owners. One property owner had multiple. So that's it, 17. That's what we're talking about here. 7 of those have been resolved at no cost. They just took care of the problem. No cost. They got the first letter and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I took care of it. And that was it. 9 of them have been at cost. Those costs have been for voluntary correction agreements through the attorney. We have to go through the attorney to create a legal document saying they need more time than what was allotted in that first letter. And that first letter does have time available, from 2 weeks up to months to get things done, and they said they needed more time than that. And that's what the voluntary correction agreements were for. Those 9 voluntary correction agreements have totaled $1,700 total. That's how much has come out of the city from citizens. There has been 1 fine of $500, and that's it. A total of $2,200 of money has been come into the city hall and out towards attorneys, except for the $500 fine. So just want everyone to be clear what we're talking about here. We're talking about 17 notices in 2 years. So that's it.
thank you. That's informative. Okay. Any other council comments? Do you want to hear any more input from the public on this topic?
Sure.
One more.
One more. I'm concerned, is it going to be voice activated?
I have a personal request for that.
Will it be voice
It'd be
activated?
good to have voice and
It,
video.
Voice
it
and
records voice, video, everything.
Perfect.
But, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Very good. Then with that, I think that we're ready to move on to our third and final agenda item. Yes.
We need
well
to-
done. And thank you all present for your efforts to maintain civility. All right, so the third item is conversation about the smoke testing that took place along our surface water runoff system. That would have been on the north side of 506 to the west of the post office. Now you requested to be placed on there, Mr. Daly, so I will turn the time over to you.
Yeah, I'm just stressing it back.
Well, I know Jill was given the results to the smoke test. That's what I just wanted to hear. I didn't never get them. I know that there was no smoke that came out at the end of the pipe.
That's all I got. What I gave you.
Oh, heck, no, I didn't get it.
I gave it to you when you came and picked up your packet. It wasn't in your packet. I handed it to you while we were sitting there talking. I'll give you another copy. You can pass this down to him. This is what I gave you. Yeah, those pictures. That's it. That's what I have. Oh, okay. I gave it. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday when you came in and picked up your packet. I gave them to you then.
All right,
You had a flat tire since then.
I'll
We understand.
Like I said, it wasn't in your packet. I gave it to you after you sat down in the mayor's chair and we chatted for a few minutes, and I gave you a copy of that. And that's when you said, why isn't this on the agenda? And I said, we weren't ready to discuss it yet, but if you want to add it, then you said, okay, I'll add it. You don't remember having that conversation
No,
with me? Maybe we do need that recorder.
Okay.
I called you from the restaurant, but I didn't ever get you.
But rather than engage in
But
Anyway,
in any
they don't
event,
have the end of the tube down by the river that shows.
it never went down, no smoke came out down
No
there.
smoke. So-
This is the only places where smoke came out, was those 4 locations. There's a couple extra copies here if anybody wants them. But those 4 locations are where the smoke came out. There was a tiny bit that came out right there by the shop, where they started just up the street from the shop, and they blew it down, and those 4 locations that you see on there is the only place where smoke came out.
So the person that was with John conducting the test, didn't give you any indications of, besides the fact that it's plugged?
He was a volunteer through Evergreen Rural Water. It wasn't somebody we hired and paid. They just said, hey, we've got a smoke tester. We could come do a smoke test for you and see where the smoke comes out. That's
Okay, I thought he was going to give us a plan of attack as to
I'm not aware.
our next step. That's
No.
what I was kind of hoping for.
not him, not Lauren. That's
Okay.
not his. Yeah, that's not what he does.
So our next step from this, do we have a plan of attack? So mobile camera to
I
go.
have no idea. I would recommend giving this information to the city engineer and say, what do you think? What can we do with this? What do we need to do to figure this out? I mean, I don't know who else to ask. I obviously don't know, so.
Yeah. I can tell you, the more you study this and look at our maps, which aren't much help, this is quite mystifying. And certainly points a finger at perhaps the railroad and the work that was done. You'll notice photo number 2, that's where the sinkhole emerged. And the smoke stops there, which effectively means that's probably the leak that is contributing to your flooding situation and would likely pose some potential hazard with the railroad's track bed.
Well, they just raised that whole intersection up because it's sunk.
No?
Yeah, they just raised it up. You know how bumpy it used to be? I said, what, are you raising it up because people are complaining about how bumpy it got? And they're like, no, we're raising it up because we're afraid the train's going to derail.
Oh, that's
Yeah, literally, that's what they said. So, and that, I don't know, it'd have to be, in my mind, part of the water situation. So they seem to be patchwork kind of people. As long as the trains go by, they're okay with it. So I still don't know what the next step is on that. I mean, I know that the railroad's never been really much to help us out on.
Well, we were fortunate that Evergreen Water was willing to volunteer their services at no cost to the community. And I think this provides us some information that we should definitely submit to our engineer for their expert analysis. So that would be my, if the council would like us to use this and press forward with that strategy, we'll do it.
We reach out to Devin Jackson as well, just to get his opinion.
Well, that would be.
And I've talked to Devin Jackson about it before the smoke test.
Yeah.
Gone through it with him, but at least with this, there's evidence showing that there's nothing going past here, and it's all coming out of here, so there's gotta be something down here or something below it. But again, maybe that's something they can help us.
Yeah, we'll need a professional opinion, that's for sure.
Okay, all righty. Any other thoughts on that agenda item? All right. And with that, we'll conclude this meeting, adjourn it at 7:12 p.m.